In today's video, we get to dive into the latest developer screenshots regarding multiplayer and some additional realm adjustments. Alongside that, some changes are coming to archers and how bows work. This feels like a little bit of an overhaul, and it honestly sounds like a really good one, and we're going to explore that here. Also, they're talking about updates to the enchantment systems, and we're going to dive into all what the developers are sharing in this video. So hello everyone, and welcome back to the Wicked Weekly. My name is Brian, if you happen to be new around here, and it's been really quiet as of late within the development world for No Rest for the Wicked, but I always look at it that as a good sign. As a developer myself, whenever things get quiet, that means they're focused and they're working on getting us the co-op update. But let's dive into the latest from the dev team. Well, let's just dive into it. The first thing Thomas shares, he double confirms that the co-op update is going to come with a slew of systematic updates as well. And I think the screenshots actually reflect this, but we'll get into that. He goes on to say, so it's not just the Breach Refined plus co-op. Going to say that the class system and compendium are still on their way, but the class system will not be a part of the multiplayer update. They're going to do that in a separate PTR for it afterwards, but it could soft confirm the compendium making its way maybe now or in the very near future, one way or another. Fully excited. But he goes on to share these 4 screenshots. Just taking a look at the first one, you get an idea who's on your realm. One of the things I like to call out is at the top, you see realm mods, difficulty, and then obviously a realm code for, I guess, players to jump in and join. For me, you know, just speaking as a content creator, when I do live streams, if I'm able to generate a code and you guys are able to use that code to jump in, that's going to make it so much easier than having to navigate friend systems. And I'm all for ease of access to be able to jump in and just have fun. So we will be live streaming it. We will be giving away copies of this game. We will be playing with each and everybody who wants to be a part of this. So if you guys want more information beyond that, check out the Discord. It's the top link. We'll get you to all the content that I make around here. Now, the next 2 screenshots just kind of highlight the various different realms that exist, essentially giving you the option to join the realm, leave the realm, continue from the last whisper. And I think essentially this will be neat to see how this plays out, especially because you can see from the realms themselves what kind of difficulty that's being selected, and you can see all different kinds of stats and little information. And then finally on the last screen in and of itself, this is what we kind of saw it on the first, but you can see the hours played kind of more clearly from the other players. And based off of just this last screenshot alone, it looks to me, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, you guys can let me know in the comments, that the first 2 players are online. We have one other player who's currently offline, and then there is a free slot for other people to join in. And then I like over on the right hand side, and we saw this across all the screenshots, you kind of see what's happening, what's been going on in the realm itself, who's doing what, and on what day did they do those things. So honestly, more stats, more interesting things. I think this, as the baseball nerd and myself, I absolutely love this, and I can't wait to really go hands-on with it. And for those of you who are going to ask, because I get them in every video, and I appreciate the support in the comments. First things first, we do not have an update on the console. That's going to come when the game fully releases 1.0, most likely sometime in 2026. I'll keep you guys up to date. As soon as we know more, we will cover it here for you. The other one is multiplayer update. When? I'm still estimating. I'm probably about an estimate of 4 weeks right now, so it could be towards the end of September or sometime in maybe early October. We'll see if that adjusts. Right now, the fact that they're sharing this much has me leaning into that kind of 4-week period. I'd love it if it comes sooner, but I do agree with the team. They have to make sure that it hits and hits really well, so that way the game can continue to, you know, I guess, generate positive momentum as opposed to having to deal a lot of, you know, two-stepping or something like that. But we'll see. We'll see if I'm anywhere near accurate, and as soon as we have anything official, I'll be sure to let you know. Now, I, for one, am really excited about what he's talking about here. Let's get into the bow changes. So Thomas says, oh, another thing, bows are changing from offhand to two-handed so that we can fully fulfill the archer class. So now if you equip a bow, hitting X will fire the arrows. And if you have 4 rune slots, actually now available for the weapon itself. He goes on to say each bow will have and get unique defaults. So one might just shoot an arrow straight, the other might burst, the next one might spread, and the one after that shoots homing arrows, etc. But he does also go on to say that they should do explosive arrows, laughing face. Don't know if that's a soft commit to it, but I am, for one, enjoying the idea that, you know, blast arrows could be in this game. The inner Zelda nerd in me is like, yeah, let's attach a bomb to those arrows. Why don't we? Now, before we get into the enchantment changes that they kind of detail in the next post, I do want to say thank you guys so much for the support on my last video. I did make a call out because YouTube has a new feature. It's called Hype. You don't need to use it on this video. You don't need to use it on this channel, but you get 3 a week. So if there's a content creator out there that you like, you enjoy, and you appreciate the work they're doing, be sure to check that out. Now, I think it's only on the mobile devices. So we'll see if that rolls out onto PC anytime soon, but it is an interesting tool because I've seen a lot of big content creators. I've seen a lot of other creators complain that their views are down. I'm not experiencing that here. And so thank you guys, A, for the support. Appreciate it so much. But also, B, I think maybe it's because the hype feature. I don't know. It's all theory and it's really not that important, but I just wanted to call that out. And thank you guys for either considering it here or at least making sure that you're aware of it so you can go support creators you like. All right, let's dive into the enchantments now. Thomas says, hey everyone, they've been working on some updates to their enchanting system for No Rest for the Wicked, and they'd love to get our thoughts. So here is the breakdown of what's on the table. So enchantment value, they listed out tier 1 to tier 3 plus gear. Tier 1 gear is going to be lower rolls. Tier 2 gear, closer to an average. Tier 3 gear, average or higher. Tier 3 plus gear, a chance for some really high rolls. Now, Thomas has also talked about from a gearing perspective, we haven't seen tier 4, but 5 and 6. Maybe that's what he's alluding to, all encompassing of those different tiers. But just take that, who knows, that could change as well. Maybe tier 3 plus, the inner Final Fantasy 11 player in me thinks high quality, but it is what it is. That being said, I'm interpolating that as 4 through 6 in terms of that kind of range. Now he goes on to say the enchantment count, tier 1 gear is going to have 1 to 2 enchantments, tier 2 gear 2 to 3 enchantments, tier 3 gear 3 to 4 enchantments, and he in parentheses purples, and then they can actually increase with fallen embers up to a cap. So it sounds like we can still increase the different amounts of enchantments that appear on the different items, thus maybe changing the color. Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. Disenchanting, he writes, that resets an item to its white state, removes all enchantments and gems, and the item can be thus enchanted again. So that sounds like that is going to be on its way. The enchanting costs scale heavily with the item and number value of the enchantments. Re-rolling, only 1 enchantment slot per item can be re-rolled using fallen embers. That chosen slot can be re-rolled indefinitely, but the others are locked. That in and of itself is going to be a big change from what we have today. It's going to make that gear chase a little bit more important. And so this could feel like a nerf, but obviously the game isn't fully out yet. All these things are always subject to change. But the fact is that if you had to pick and choose one specific thing that you wanted to re-roll on it, well, you're kind of locked in, and that makes purples a little bit more risky because right now purples, I think, dominate all of it because you could roll something that you don't care about as a disadvantage and have so many amazing enchantments that just make you really, really powerful. Love to get your thoughts on that. Now let's talk about exalting. Items can be exalted up to 4 times using fallen embers. To exalt an item, it must be quote unquote complete, max gems, max enchantments, max upgrades, and once exalted, the gem and enchantments are locked. So no more re-rolling as soon as you exalt. The item can still be disenchanted, and each exalt randomly selects 1 enchantment or gem and increases its value by 50%. The same can be chosen multiple times. So Thomas goes on to say, so thoughts on these changes? Do you like the idea of exalting as a final step in the item's progression? How do you feel about limited re-rolls to 1 slot per item? Does the system feel rewarding to punishing or just right? And so I asked the same questions to you guys. Honestly, I do feel like this would be an adjustment that you would have to kind of get used to. And if you love the current system, this could feel like a step back, but I understand the, you know, the design element of making this, you know, you want to have something to chase after. You don't want to be like, well, I got everything that I need and then I'm good. That all being said, I don't know, it'll be interesting, especially when you increase the value by 50%, that it seems to randomly do that. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I need to kind of ponder it. I'd love to actually feel it and when playing it before making any kind of formal pro or con judgment about it. But in and of itself, I am honestly generally curious what you guys think. Now that I've hit the major updates, we're going to get into the weeds right now with some additional thoughts that Thomas is sharing, some additional features that probably we won't see right away, but time will tell. And it starts with this voice over IP. Thomas writes, right now we're looking into using a service that allows players to speak into a mic and to have that be cross-play, meaning that if you talk to your PC, Steam Deck, PS5 players would also be able to hear you in multiplayer. So you folks using features like that in other games, or are you using the platform specific stuff? And I know for myself, Discord, which is cross-platform, and at the same time also internal. So it's like, it just really depends on who I'm playing with and what is going on. If I'm on the computer, it's always going to be Discord for the most part, but yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts there. He goes on to say, right now they're looking at actually some cool modulation, like your voice will be echoey if you talk into the mic while you're in a cave, etc. We also have the distance attenuation so that you will need to be reasonably close to other players to hear them. That might be pretty cool, and it might be annoying to some. We also have game chat on PC, so you can just hit enter and obviously type. So that confirms that you can type freely. I wonder if they'll do any kind of translation. I think that was some kind of laws that were passed where, for accessibility, like, hey, if you got voice chat, it would turn it into text chat. Text chat could be read, and we see this heavily, I think, in Minecraft, for example. But who knows? I don't know if they're going to do that here, but we will wait and see. Goes on to say, yeah, that it could be a problem with the distance aspect, but it's extremely cool the first time you experience it. But I do think people would end up turning it off and using Discord or something anyway. That would have to be global. As an alt that they've tried, people near you in that way, but people are far away hear you as if it's a radio signal. So the question that I asked to Thomas, we haven't got an official answer on this yet, but it's, are you going to maybe integrate with Discord as an option for players? Like if they wanted to do that, because Discord is also on Xbox and PlayStation. It's in a lot more places. And I think that could be a cool feature just to have that level of integration. I think there's obviously a cost to that. There's going to be development time and more to kind of consider. But it will be interesting to see. I don't know if you guys use it personally. I probably wouldn't, because if I'm playing with y'all, we're on Discord anyway. And if I'm playing with other friends, chances are I'll be on whatever the platform is. Ultimately, I enjoy the Xbox, but I might, it's cross-play, cross-progression. So picking this up on Switch 2 will also be a nice feature for myself. Now, he goes on to say, and this is a bit of a note, this is an update for PvP fanatics out there. A little bit of a delay, or a little bit of, not necessarily great news, but here we go. He goes on to say PvP might not actually make it to 1.0, by the way. They're thinking that they might right now only have the time to do the basic integration, but we might get blasted to hell and back by PvP players if we don't ship with all the bells and whistles, leagues, leaderboards, proper balance, etc. So we'll probably take the time to do it all together in a content update after 1.0. But goes on to say, yes, duels will be in the system, as in instead of a full PvP arena with everything, you can look at another player and interact and pick duel, and now they can be targeted as if they were an enemy. He just does not want to go into another review bombing situation because somewhat niche feature wasn't integrated with every single thing possible. Balance not being 100%, and PvP players are a very outspoken minority, but let us all know if they're unhappy. And so at the end of the day, like, just that topic alone he's so right about the niche. Like, they are a very vocal but a smaller piece of the community. PvE tends to be kind of a bigger draw for a lot of players. I like PvP, and I honestly am looking forward to seeing how PvP works in this game. He isn't wrong, but he, at the same time, not having that, even if it's to say like leagues and these other things, like I think that could be in, or like the PvP arena could be there, and then they say, hey, and we're gonna follow this up with leagues, etc. We want to give, and they could even market it in a way that like they want people to get into the game, experience the game, learn the game. They got arenas, and then, you know, okay, the next content update, we're going to be adding in the leagues. We're going to add in these different things. We're going to keep playing around with this. That it would probably go over well, but he goes on to say, in terms of it, that he remind everybody they're a smaller team. They're not as big as even like when you think of Baldur's Gate 3 and some of these other games that have really just done so well. The team at Moon Studios isn't super massive, and so there's going to always kind of have to be that balance as to features. We talked about this. Thomas has shown off various features that most likely won't make it anytime soon, but could end up showing up with 1.0 or even beyond 1.0. And honestly, with the expansion model, them putting out content updates after 1.0 is out, I think that's going to be really exciting to see. It gives people another opportunity to check into the game, and a game that's not supported with microtransactions, because they're not going to have them. It's going to be, you buy the game, you play the game, you maybe take a break from the game, and then there's a content update or an expansion that you can check back in on the game as well. So it's going to be fun regardless. Now, I'm going to wrap it up today. I really appreciate each and every one of you for checking out this video. I hope you got something good out of it. I look to hearing on all these questions and more, and I'll be sure to give you guys any update and breaking news regarding the rest of the Wicked. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully I'll see you next time, but until then, take care.
Yeah, no rest for the wicked, we rise or we ride. This ain't no checkpoints, all that you got. Grip tight the blade, feel the burn in your chest. One life, one shot, now down.